Welcome to the party, comrades. Today I'm going to show you how to save hundreds if not thousands of dollars on cymbals by not breaking them. There are many ways to strike a cymbal, most of which will not damage your cymbal or sticks. Unfortunately, all too often I see drummers striking their cymbals as if they're trying to break both. Let's look at 5 things we can do to prevent you from damaging your cymbals, and it'll probably prevent you from damaging your sticks and drum heads as well. The first thing you need to do is make sure all your cymbals are wearing protection. If you unscrew the wing nut from your cymbal stand and take off your cymbal, you should find 3 things. First, there should be a plastic or rubber cylinder or tube or sheath around the metal part of the cymbal stand. A little piece of metal that sticks through the center of your cymbal. You want to make sure there's no metal to metal contact. That's a great way for you to crack your cymbals from the inside. Secondly, you should find that there is padding on both the top and bottom of every cymbal. And make sure the tension of your wing nut is properly set. When you're tightening up your cymbals, you want to make sure that it's tight enough to be secure to the cymbal stand and not too floppy so that it might damage the center of the cymbal, but also not so tight that it restricts the sound and cuts off the resonance early. Generally, the right spot for a cymbal is when the wing nut tension just begins to restrict the motion. That way you know that the center of the cymbal is protected, but it's going to be allowed to ring out as far as it can. Some exceptions are China cymbal. It might be set a little bit tighter than the rest, depending on how you play and what you want it to sound like. And your ride cymbal may be set a little bit loose. Use your best judgment and use your ear as your guide. My second tip on how to prevent damage to your cymbals is to make sure they're all set up at a proper angle. Generally, for most crash and splash cymbals, that angle will be almost level but slightly tilted towards the player. This may vary depending on cymbals, of course. You may have your China cymbal angled a little bit more. Your hi-hats will probably be flat, level. Your ride may be a little more level than your crashes. But the general rule is consistency. If all of your cymbals are different heights or different angles, you're not only going to be wasting a lot of energy to strike them, but you're going to have to make a different angle strike on each cymbal if they're all set up in goofy locations. So keep a consistent angle of your cymbals so you can have consistent strikes of your cymbals. The third tip to avoid damaging your cymbals is the angle of your stick as you strike. You should crash your cymbals in a downward stroke at an angle slightly different from the cymbal itself. Here's a good example here. If you come through at a 45-degree angle, that's good cymbal breaking territory. If you come in at a 90-degree angle, that's good stick breaking territory. I don't know why you would do that accidentally, maybe. And not only the angle of your stick, but also the placement of the stick when it strikes. If you're too far in with it, you're hitting with the fat part of the stick, that's a good way to break your cymbal. If you're hitting too far towards the tip of the stick, if you strike where the stick is tapered and gets thinner towards the end, that's good stick breaking territory. And we're not trying to hit the very edge of the cymbal. We're trying to strike it somewhere around an inch in, where you can feel it's slightly more rounded. So we're hitting with the part of the stick right where it gets fattest, about here. Perfect. The fourth tip to not breaking your cymbals is to remember that they are a musical instrument. When we're up here whacking on them with pieces of wood, it's really easy to forget that it's a delicate instrument meant to make many sounds, not just one crash. It can be several sounds come off of any cymbal depending on how you strike it. And that can be very easy to forget when you're just whacking a piece of metal with a piece of wood. Especially new drummers, it's great to focus on finesse as early as you possibly can. Even when you want to perform a loud, hard crash strike on your cymbal, it's still a finessed hit. You're not just beating it as hard as you can, there's a certain sweet spot to how you want to hit it, how hard you want to hit it, and hitting it harder won't necessarily make it louder, but it will put your cymbals and sticks in jeopardy. Instead of coming down on it with your entire arm, remember, you're just placing your hand in the proper position and coming down on it just the same as you would do with a drum. You don't whack down on your drums like that. Why would you come down on your cymbals like that? As we liaison to tip 5, which is not to follow through on your crash strike. A lot of drummers, including myself years ago, when they strike a cymbal, they'll follow all the way through with the stick, and just like tip 4, it's really unnecessary. Hitting it harder or following through is not necessarily going to make it any louder or sound better, but it is risking damage to your cymbals and sticks. So instead of bringing your whole arm through the cymbal and down as you strike, here and down, you don't really want to strike through the cymbal. So instead of following through when you strike your cymbal, you have 3 better options. You can either bounce straight up with it, glancing blow to the left, glancing blow to the right. Now, one quick bonus tip. I've seen some special sticks on the market, some that are extra fat, extra strong, some even, I think it was Joey Jordison has some sticks with metal in the shaft of it. And I guess their selling point is that you won't break the stick, and maybe that's true, but you're going to break something. So would you like that to be a $3 stick, a $30 drum head, or a $300 cymbal? Your choice. If you're breaking sticks all the time, a more expensive stick is probably not the direction you want to go. You probably just want to grab a 100-pack of cheap sticks and consider working on your technique. And that's it. If you follow all these rules to cymbal care, you'll enjoy your cymbals for years to come, and you'll keep a lot of money in your pocket. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to join the Drumminess revolution.